The time is now 7 p.m. Time for the CBC Evening News. This time check is brought to you by Fruta.
A manhunt on for the gunman who shot a police officer. The NUPW again advises BRA workers not to sign the option forms. And in sports, Barbadian top teenage surfer Chelsea Tuak creates history again.
Credible, balanced, committed. This is the CBC Evening News.
Very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Broom. This is the CBC Evening News. In our top story tonight, 2015 has been heralded as a good year of great importance to CARICOM. This from Prime Minister Fando Stewart, who is also current chairman of the regional grouping, in his end-of-year message. He says the year demonstrated in no uncertain terms the value of the regional integration project and the influence that its united front could yield internationally. According to him, CARICOM presented a united front on the United Nations Framework Conference on Climate Change negotiations and subsequent agreement in Paris and other engagements. He says the noteworthy achievements continued in the operations of the CARICOM single market and economy, efforts to propel economic growth, the election of a CARICOM candidate to the position of Commonwealth Secretary General, and the successful hosting of CARIFESTA in Haiti. Now, looking forward to 2016, Mr. Stewart highlighted important national milestones that would be observed by Barbados, Guyana, Antigua and Barbuda, and Belize. Both Barbados and Guyana will be celebrating 50 years of independence, and Antigua and Barbuda and Belize will be celebrating 35 years of independence. A manhunt continues for the suspect or suspects who shot a police officer this morning. The shooting occurred near Codrington Hill, St. Michael. Shane Seeley has been following the story.
Police have been combing the Codrington Hill community the entire morning after an officer was shot by an armed bandit who lawmen are actively searching for. It all took place around 9 this morning during a sting operation. Police Public Relations Officer Acting Assistant Superintendent David Welch says the police constable shot was part of the team searching for drugs.
They encountered gunfire and the constable was shot in the process. It is believed that the wound is to one of his arms. He was rushed to the QEH where he's currently warded.
Now, following the incident, lawmen were seen searching cars leaving the community looking for the shooters. Just after 11 a.m., pedestrian traffic and the media were allowed into the gap. But soon after, a number of unmarked vehicles arrived on the scene as officers, some of them heavily armed, searched a hut in the area. In that hut, police found a number of cannabis plants which they packed into buckets and removed from the scene. At that point, members of the media were asked to leave. The explanation given by lawmen was that the armed suspect or suspects could still be in the community and that our lives could be at risk. Now, residents were reluctant to speak to me about what took place this morning. Meanwhile, police continue the search for one or more suspects considered armed and dangerous. I'm Shane Seeley for CBC News.
And ASP Welch has since reported that the constable is in stable condition and under medical care. He says, too, that during this morning's operations, police seized 5,789 cannabis plants from a bushy area. The tallest were 6 feet. The police PRO adds that on Monday, other eradication exercises in St. John resulted in close to 3,000 plants being seized in Small Hope and just over 1,700 in Edgecliff. No arrests have been made in relation to those seizures. Dozens of staff members of the Barbados Revenue Authority have been advised by the National Union of Public Workers not to sign option forms dated December 1st, 2015. These forms request them to indicate their willingness to accept long-term employment with the BRA. General Secretary of the NUPW, Rosalind Smith, says the union is aware that from March 2016, the 2-year period for those on secondment with the authority will come to an end. Ms. Smith says she wrote to the Revenue Commissioner on December 23rd asking that the distribution of the forms be suspended until the terms and conditions of service are discussed and finalized. Well, the Barbados Revenue Authority has indeed started issuing income tax refunds for income year 2014. An official with the authority confirmed that the refunds started going out last week and that about 6,000 returns have so far been sent out. However, there's no indication as yet as to when the next set of funds will be issued or what the quantities will be. In other news now, it's a system that has proven effective in reducing the number of serious traffic accidents and road fatalities across North America. And the country is being encouraged by the Barbados Road Safety Association to seriously consider introducing the graduated driver's license system here. President Charmaine Rowland Bowen says the system is one targeting young and inexperienced drivers.
All graduated driver's licenses is restricted driving. You know, you allow persons after they have been granted a license. You know, it is a license but with restrictions. For instance, you cannot, after you've now gotten your license, you know, within the first year, you cannot just go out there and drive, you know, late at night, you know, solo driving late at night. You cannot drive with a car full of your friends in that vehicle. You cannot use any amount of alcohol. You cannot, or drugs, you know, you cannot drive and use your cell phones. You know, these are all restrictions that a novice driver, you know, a new novice driver needs to abide by.
Ms. Rowland Bowen also wants to see a relationship between the judiciary and law enforcement with the Alpha Traffic School and others where motorists can be referred.
As part of a retraining effort, a remedial training effort, because if you look at it, as a society, we here in Barbados, we are not one that have had extensive education when it comes to driving on our roads. Yes, we go out there, we teach persons to pass the driving test, which is a matter of skill, but we need to also teach them how to think, you know, how to be a defensive driver, you know, how to protect themselves, obey the traffic laws, all of these things, you know, and how to make the correct choices, because every choice you make on our roads have consequences. If you make a bad choice, it's going to have bad consequences.
Executive Committee member Carson Lee wants Corporate Barbados to come on board and help the Road Safety Association.
Help us in give us the tools, the initiatives to push our work here and give us that support that is strongly needed. Because all our businesses that operate in the country, if I might make mention to a few of the cell phone suppliers and so forth, which have fleet vehicles, it is important for them and other businesses and the general businesses around the island to support it. For me, as a professional driver, my license is very important to me.
Big plans are already on the way to mark the 50th anniversary of independence next year. To launch that celebration, a parade will be held on the 6th of January at Independence Square to promote the significance of the Barbadian cultural identity. The theme of that event will be Barbados We Come From, and there will be a showcase of many local talents. Schools will also be closed to accommodate the parade. Chief Executive Officer of the National Cultural Foundation, Cranston Brown, says crop over events next year will also reflect the celebration of the 50th anniversary.
Crop over will reflect the 50th anniversary, and in a number of ways. The theme for Crop Over 2016 is actually celebrating our culture, showcasing our pride. So we're going to be asking our songwriters, our calypsonians, to, within their songs and their compositions, have some relevance to the year, if they so choose. There will be prizes offered for special songs. We're going to be asking our designers and band leaders to also reflect this in their costume designs, and there will be special prizes for those designs within the bands.
There's more news just ahead, but first we want to hear from you on this question. Will you be taking part in events marking Barbados's 50th anniversary celebrations? Text yes or no to short code 8111. We'll have those results for you at the end of the news.
There's no place like home for the holidays. Family and friends together sharing memories. We celebrate the joy in our children's eyes. We feel our hearts become young again. We never forget what Christmas means. It's a love that's always in our hearts forever. So let's all come together and share with each other and bring joy to every boy and girl. If we all come together and share with each other this holiday, there'll be peace.
Season's greetings from your friends at Banks Holdings Limited.
This is where I learn. Courage is what I got from experience. With hard work, there are no walls between me and my dreams.
Only Milo contains ActiveGo, which is a blend of Protomalt, a unique malt extract, and micronutrients to help prepare your child to get the best out of their day.
Thanks, Mom. Now I am ready.
Milo, energy food drink of champions.
Distributed by Massey Distribution.
This week on Rejoice and Sing, there's no one else like her. From her fashion,
presentation is a beautiful thing, especially when you're representing the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords.
to her voice.
I don't have a car, all I have is the love of my Lord.
She's been called the grandmother of gospel music of Barbados. She is Sister Marshall, our special guest on Rejoice and Sing. You don't want to miss her story.
I remember waking up a night and discovered that I felt within myself that I was not loved. I felt used, and somebody had thrown me on the dump heap.
Don't miss Rejoice and Sing, brought to you with the good wishes of Sewing World's department store and Black Image Cosmetique for all your curtain needs this holiday season.
The Central Bank of Barbados presents the $1 Billion Dreams Forum televised event, hosted by yours truly. Come witness 4 Barbadian entrepreneurs pitch their great ideas to a panel of business professionals. It promises to be intriguing, exciting, and you must tune in. Airing on CBC TV 8, January 7th and 14th at 8 p.m. Ensure you guys tune in, because when you think big, you get big.
Residents of St. Joseph are being told tonight not to expect any overnight relief from the water woes they are enduring. But the Barbados Water Authority says it is working on some measures to begin to fix the problems as soon as possible.
The BWA's acting general manager told reporters the authority had to reduce by as much as 2 million gallons the amount of water it pumped in October and November. He says this was due in part to the sharp drop in rainfall and an increase in the level of salt in the system. But the BWA head has given the assurance that the efforts to fix the problems are ongoing.
What we could provide is the temporary relief through an improvement in the supply of water through the tanker service and the community water tanks, as well as expedition of the implementation of the water augmentation in Sweetville to bring those wells into supply as quickly as possible, as well as the one at Groves.
Dr. Mwanza says despite all the authorities' efforts, Barbadians have to understand that the island is water scarce and must start using the resource far more responsibly. In fact, he says, although the BWA has been trying to avoid water rationing, it will become a reality very soon.
It is something that within the next 2 weeks, we could expect to see some of that happening. But also remember, we are not going to be shutting off areas just for the sake of shutting them off, unless we can transfer that water to mitigate the areas that are suffering. It does not make sense just shutting off an area because it has water.
Dr. Mwanza says they've put on order 8 additional water tankers to help meet the demand. He says those tankers will also help to supplement the 37 community water tanks which are now being used across the most affected areas.
And residents of St. Joseph are hoping that for the new year they can see their running water restored.
The lack of running water has forced the Barbados Water Authority to place water tanks in a number of areas across the parish. However, this has not made it any easier for those in the area. Renee Springer-Maynard of Airy Hill, St. Joseph says the issue has been at its worst since the start of December.
It's always been like this for as long as I know, but at this particular moment it is totally ridiculous. We have had no proper running water almost 20 days now. Over the Christmas period, there was absolutely no water. Christmas Day, there was no water in this area.
Ms. Springer-Maynard adds that there are also a number of health concerns.
As you can see, the bush, debris, there's settlement of water due to the fact that it has not been laid properly on any concrete foundation. So when people come and they fill up their buckets and stuff, all the water is there and it settles, it's mucky, and basically it's not hygienic.
Over in Sugar Hill, it was a hustle, with residents trying to catch as much water as possible before it ran out. Most of them were too busy and tired with catching water to speak. However, Odessa Murray obliged. She says since she moved to Sugar Hill in 1970, she has never seen the problem at this level.
Sometimes we just got to wait for 3 and 4 days before we get proper water out here. It's hard. And we got to still pay the water bill.
Miss Murray says without water, it was as though Christmas never came for her and her family.
We hadn't water for Christmas, and even had lunch at me. Understand? So you know, at Christmas time, you got your things to wash up. You got to wash them properly, especially meat. So we had no running water for Christmas. We had to get that water and store it.
The residents are hoping that just like the year 2015 is coming to an end, that these are the final days of their water woes. Sean Farrell, CBC News.
Chief Executive Officer of the Barbados Agriculture Society, James Paul, says local farmers in the north will have to look at more effective ways of harvesting water. He's suggesting they use drop irrigation techniques and capture rainwater to combat the issue of water scarcity. I beg your pardon.
We have to look at ways and means of, one, trying to increase the amount of water harvesting that we have been doing. In that regard, we are having some seasonal rain, some